Tesla obviously has been a strong performer this year. It was out with the delivery and production numbers over the weekend. That seemed to impress Wall Street. Now we're getting some data out of China. What's that looking like, Renita?
Well, it's so strong over the year that it's up more than 127%.
Everybody was talking about Tesla on Monday.
Electric car sales are breaking new records with momentum expected to continue through 2023 with demand surging worldwide.
Remember when everyone was panicking and saying that EV demand was slowing down, that there were demand concerns, that Tesla was producing more vehicles that they could sell and so on? Obviously, they were right, and this is just a temporary anomaly, suggesting otherwise. Trolling aside, actually, how about some more trolling? Just wanted to once again point out that Moron Stanley, less than a week ago, published a new research note claiming exactly that. EV demand slowing down will be slower than expectations throughout the decade. I'll never let them live that down. But actually, trolling aside, we've reached the tipping point. There is no question at this point in time, although there's been no question for years, but I think even potatoes are now starting to understand it. EVs are here to stay. Consumer preferences are shifting at a staggering rate. The internal combustion engine vehicle is dead, and it's now just a question of how fast can we make well-priced, compelling electric vehicles, because if you make them, they will sell. If you make them and they're not well-priced and or they're not compelling, however, they won't sell, and instead you'll be making excuses like, oh, the dog ate our homework, which is exactly what one of Tesla's biggest so-called competitors did recently, which I covered this week on a Twitter subscribers-only video. If you want to watch it, check the link in the pinned comment to subscribe over on Twitter.
Shares of Tesla up slightly this morning as the market continues to digest the company's strong delivery numbers in the second quarter. A notable highlight, Tesla's Shanghai factory, where output is up 20% from the year prior. The site shipped a total of 93,680 vehicles in June.
93,680 vehicles shipped from the Shanghai factory in the month of June. Let's put this in context. In Q3 2019, as in 3 months, not 1 month, Tesla globally produced 96,155 vehicles, almost an identical number to what a single factory alone has done in a single month in 2023. To restate this, in a single month, June of 2023, Tesla's Shanghai factory alone produced approximately as many vehicles as Tesla, the company, did in an entire quarter, 3 months in the second half of 2019. More proof that Tesla is a busted growth story. There are many people who confuse themselves or are intellectually dishonest, and they tend to focus on how many vehicles did Tesla sell in China this month or this quarter. That doesn't fucking matter. As we know, Tesla's Shanghai factory is their main export hub. Case in fucking point, on screen now, we're looking at Tesla sales in Australia by year and quarter. The Teslas sold in Australia are produced in Shanghai. This is why it's important to understand that what really matters is how many vehicles is Tesla selling on the planet. If you see people cherry picking and saying sales are down in this region or this country, they're an idiot. It doesn't matter. And to illustrate this point, in 2023, year to date, in the first half of the year, about 25,000 Teslas have been sold in Australia. Essentially all of them produced in Shanghai. For the full year of 2022, less than 20,000 Tesla vehicles were sold in Australia. At this rate, it's likely that 50,000 or so Tesla vehicles will be sold in Australia for the full year, compared to 2022, which was less than 20,000. And there are many markets Tesla is still yet to enter. Another way to look at this, Tesla sales in Australia per year and month. 2022, we have the first 6 months of the year, January through to June. In 2023, the same months, January through to June. It is no exaggeration to say that this year, more Teslas have been sold, or almost as many Teslas have been sold in most individual months than the entire first half of 2022 in Australia. There are many other regions globally where we'll see similar results. And at the same time this is happening, sales of legacy automotive vehicles, ICE vehicles, especially from big companies like Toyota, are in free fall globally, including in Australia. We have well and truly reached the tipping point. There is no question about demand. The issue now is supply of reasonably priced, compelling electric vehicles. Build them and they will sell. Although, in fairness, there aren't that many companies building them. And as I mentioned yesterday, Shanghai is now pretty much maxed out in terms of capacity. If we were to annualize the rate of vehicles delivered in June, it's about 1.125 million vehicles. But keep in mind, there's a little bit of lumpiness. We don't want to extrapolate from a single month. They may have cleared a little bit more inventory this month or that month. But we're pretty much maxed out at a little over 1 million vehicles per year in Shanghai. Just putting that out there now, so the next time an intellectually dishonest Tesla bear points to Tesla China registrations, oh my God, look, month over month, China registrations are down 69%, no demand, Tesla's collapsing, they're going bankrupt, it's the end of the world. You might respond, well, hang on a minute. What about all the vehicles they made in China that they sold outside of China? Shouldn't you count those as well? Because as far as I'm aware, if Tesla sells a vehicle, they sell a vehicle. Doesn't really matter where, as long as they sell it. And please refer to some of the previous charts next time you hear somebody suggest that there's a slowdown in EV demand. Really? Shout out to Moron Stanley's research note yesterday. If that's the case, then why would we see examples where in the first half of 2023, in a single region that Tesla's now able to export larger volumes of vehicles to, the first half of the entire year has a significantly larger number of Tesla vehicles sold in a single country than the entire year in 2023? If there were concerns around demand, would we see more than 100% year-over-year growth in deliveries in a single region from one of their main export hubs? I really think a lot of people aren't grasping this. They focus on the wrong data. They can't zoom out. Tesla still continues to sell literally every single vehicle they produce. There's a lot of lumpiness. Some quarters they'll send a shitload of vehicles to Norway. In another quarter, it might go to Timbuktu or bumfuck nowhere, or maybe even Australia.
With more, we're joined by Yahoo Finance's own Pras Subramanian. Pras, help us dive further into some of these numbers here.
Yeah, we're seeing kind of like on the China level, the power of Giga Shanghai really coming through here. Like you mentioned, 94,000 vehicles in June alone. That's up 20% from a year ago. Really strong numbers there. Now, compared to last year, this is when they had some COVID shutdowns, some factory retooling. So we're seeing that. That's sort of why that lift is there. But nonetheless, that's almost a million unit run rate for the year just out of China. So that's huge. But looking big picture at Q2, again, strong numbers there, 466,000 deliveries last quarter globally, easily topping estimates there. And so what's powering results? It's the massive price cuts globally taking effect still. And you have that full EV tax rate for the Model 3 now in the US that now came online in Q2. So that's helping out numbers a lot. Question is, will this continue?
Answer is yes, it will continue all fucking decade.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, and my thoughts are sort of products are getting a little bit older there, but Model 3 refresh is coming online supposedly in the next month or two. We'll see. We've seen a lot of test cars out there, new refreshed looks, so that should help. But Elon's playbook is usually just keep the same car out there, update the software, little tweaks here and there, but it might need a fuller or more broader refresh even for the Model Y, which is now I think one of the best-selling cars around the planet.
Do people buy used Tesla? Well, I'm sure people do buy used Teslas, but I'm not sure with the tax credits and how they work. Are they supportive of used Teslas as well?
Yeah, so there's a limited credit for used EVs. I think it's about half or less depending on your income and things like that, and the car's componentry. So there is definitely a support there for the used market. Now, those prices came down a lot when Tesla cut prices of the new Teslas. So you can get a really good deal on a used Model Y or Model 3 right now because of that.
Tesla obviously has been a strong performer this year. It was out with the delivery and production numbers over the weekend. That seemed to impress Wall Street. Now we're getting some data out of China. What's that looking like, Renita?
Well, it's so strong over the year that it's up more than 127%.
In fairness, that number is not quite as impressive as it sounds. There were some futile, fascist, inhumane, scamdemic shutdowns in China, so that skews the data. Remember when I said they wouldn't help and they didn't help? Yeah, they didn't help. They were futile, as I said repeatedly at the time. But hey, they did serve one purpose, reducing Tesla's full-year deliveries by almost 100,000 due to the shutdowns and the ramp back up. Good thing we kept everyone safe from the flu. I didn't say that.
Yes, we saw those strong figures come in over Sunday night. We reported on it on Monday, and today those figures are proving in China data. The China Passenger Car Association said that it was strong sales deliveries numbers in June, and it explains the strength in the global deliveries that we reported on Monday. Yet today the stock price action not so strong. People are coming back off of Tesla just a little bit this morning despite this strong data, but the data from the China Passenger Car Association shows that Tesla China delivered just under, I should say, 94,000 units made from the Gigafactory in Shanghai. That's about a 19% increase from a year ago and over a 20% increase from April sales. And it was also the second best total that happened in Tesla in China after the November record number of more than 100,000 units. Now, Tesla's second quarter is seeing a tally in China that was over 147,000 units. That was a record. It delivered, remember, globally, just over 466,000, and of those, a little over 35% of the cars delivered were made in China. The Gigafactory in Shanghai manufactures the Model S and the Model Y vehicles.
FYI, that was a slip of the tongue. She meant 3 and Y.
And then those bring in better margins than their other counterparts, given their efficiency, the production efficiency at the Shanghai factory, as well as the cheaper price. Now, as we know, Tesla has cut prices by as much as 20% during this steep discounted period. And we'll find out just how much Tesla sacrificed margins for volumes next week, or I should say the week after, when we see the deliveries numbers, or when we see the earnings, rather, for Tesla come in for the quarter.
Okay, so 93,000 something battery EVs for Tesla in China. I was just going back to my BYD figures from Monday. That compares to BYD's 128,000. So BYD is still producing more battery-powered EVs in China, the number one performer there.
Fact check. BYD also claims that they sell electric vehicles that are in fact not electric vehicles, but internal combustion engine vehicles. In mid-2023, no one should still be making this mistake, but if you have a car and its primary form of propulsion is an internal combustion engine vehicle that combusts gasoline, it is not an electric vehicle. Doesn't matter if you stick a vibrator-sized battery inside it, you can't call it an electric vehicle. It's a fucking ICE vehicle with a little battery in it. Yet BYD themselves and many disingenuous Tesla bears and clowns claim repeatedly that BYD is selling more electric vehicles than Tesla. They're not. Don't get me wrong, they're selling a lot of them. However, it is not honest to count internal combustion engine vehicles with a little battery in them as electric vehicles. They are not. Just like if a man decides to put on some lipstick, he's now a man wearing lipstick, not a woman. Now, back to BYD's actual electric vehicle sales, there's just one slight issue. They are selling a lot of them, but they're making almost no profit per vehicle sold. It's better than losing money on every vehicle sold, but their margins are paper thin. This makes them very vulnerable. If a company like Tesla continues to drive their costs lower and can drive their prices lower and maintain extremely healthy margins, even BYD are going to be in big trouble. I'm not suggesting they're going bankrupt. I think they'll probably be okay. They've already reached reasonable scale. The point is, BYD is not going to be printing insane amounts of cash.
Electric car sales are breaking new records, with momentum expected to continue through 2023, with demand surging worldwide.
Surging EV sales will be the theme of the entire decade, but please don't tell moron Stanley, who as recently as a month or so ago published new research in which they once again satisfy their humiliation fetish by putting in writing that they believe in 2030, just 25% of all new vehicles sold in the United States will be electric. It seems pretty clear at this point in time. By 2028-ish, about 5 years from now, close to 80% of new vehicles sold globally, maybe there'll be some exceptions in the third world and developing nations, will be electric. Expect to hear EV sales surge, higher than expected sales. Internal combustion engine sales lower than expected. Internal combustion engine sales collapsing. Internal combustion engine sales in free fall. Electric vehicle sales doubled over X period of time, doubled again, and so on. Even today, few seem to grasp the speed at which this transition is happening. The limiting factor is not demand. It is now production, availability of reasonably priced, compelling electric vehicles. Build them and they will sell. It's been a few years now since automotive manufacturers first began hiding behind the excuse of supply chain disruptions. We can't get the chips. That's why our vehicle, predominantly ICE, sales are down. They're still down. Many of the world's largest automotive manufacturers globally are seeing their sales down 10, 20, 25% year over year. What's the excuse? People are scared about a recession. Okay, and when that's passed, then what? Oh, it turns out EV demand was stronger than we thought, and consumer preferences have shifted faster than we thought. Who could possibly have seen this coming? Not us. It's not our fault. No one could have seen this coming. Of course, at least one company did see this coming, Tesla. And they've been planning and scaling production accordingly.
The International Energy Agency believes that sales of battery-powered vehicles are set to break records once again, leading to a historic transformation in the auto industry that could eventually challenge the dominance of internal combustion engines. Requesting by 2030, replacing pumps with plugs is set to avoid the use of at least 5 million barrels of oil a day. The overwhelming majority of electric car sales to date are concentrated in China, the United States, and Europe, although sales are beginning to flourish in emerging economies as well. Electric car sales more than tripled in India and Indonesia last year and more than doubled in Thailand. In emerging markets, 2- and 3-wheeled EVs outsell their 4-wheeled counterparts, offering affordable and sustainable mobility, and cars, bikes, and light vehicles are just the start. with heavier EVs such as buses and trucks expected to become more commonplace in the future. In fact, Amazon just announced on Monday that it has begun rolling out its custom electric delivery vans from RIVN in Europe. This will be RIVN's first commercial shipment of vans outside the United States. The IEA currently expects to see 14 million in sales by the end of 2023, representing a 35% year-on-year increase, with new purchases accelerating in the second half of this year. As a result, electric cars could account for 18% of total car sales across the full calendar year.
So as we look on screen now at electric vehicle sales globally, by region, China, Europe, United States, and the rest of the world, actual data through to 2022, and then estimates for 2023. Just like to remind you that just a few days ago, Moron Stanley published a research note in which they boldly suggest that EV demand is slowing down and will be slower than expectations throughout the entire decade. I guess they have a time machine and some insights that aren't available to us plebs, because I don't see any sign of a slowdown. Model Y, the best-selling vehicle on Earth in the first half. We're seeing surging sales quarter over quarter, year over year, just about every region on Earth. Costs are declining precipitously, especially in the most expensive component inside an electric vehicle, the battery. Tell you what, I'd really love a ride in Moron Stanley's time machine. I'd love to know what they know that I don't know.
Now, Jill, we know that Tesla stock has been really going gangbusters of late, but what's the outlook for the industry at large?
Auto stocks have traded very well thanks to the bullish EV production figures reported by U.S. and Chinese OEMs, although investors should keep their enthusiasm in check until the margins associated with these volumes are known. For Tesla, that will come on July 19th when the company reports Q2 earnings.
That's right, Tesla earnings in 2 weeks should be anything but boring. So to recap, Tesla, record-breaking June, record-breaking quarter, records. Obviously, these are just temporary anomalies because Morgan Stanley are definitely right, as per their research note published this week, in which they claim that EV adoption will be slower than consensus forecasts throughout the entire decade. Moron Stanley will definitely not be wrong, nor will they be embarrassed by the fact that they published this in the second half of 2023. You should trust Moron Stanley because they're very smart. They know what they're talking about. They have a track record of anticipating EV adoption rates, not underestimating every step of the way. And it's also good that they're held accountable for their forecasts. If you hear anyone talking about disruption and exponential growth and S-curve adoption, you should ignore them because they don't know what they're talking about. They've obviously been studying too much of this thing we call history, as well as processing data about the EV transition. In short, ICE vehicle sales are not in free fall. That free fall will not accelerate. EV sales are not growing exponentially. That growth will not accelerate. The internal combustion engine vehicle is going to be around for decades to come, and Tesla should not be building any more factories or ramping up production at their existing facilities because no one's going to buy the vehicles they're producing at those facilities in the coming years. Because remember, EV adoption is actually slowing down and will be slower than the experts are anticipating. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. You get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon. And don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.